All right, hi everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Amy Yang. I am a senior planner with the City of Sacramento Community Development Department. If you are here to learn about the 2040 General Plan and Consistency Update, you are in the right place. All right. So today's webinar is going to be a short background for this project, cover the schedule and scope of the project, and then finally talk about how folks can get involved during our outreach phase. All right, to start, I'd like to introduce our project team. First, we have Greg Sandland, Planning Director, as well as Remy Mendoza, Long Range Planning Manager, who have been providing guidance and direction through this whole process. Then there's me, Amy Yang. I am the Senior Planner, providing project oversight. Next, we have Jamie Mosler, Associate Planner, who is our Project Manager for this, who is heading up our rezone effort. And finally, we have Faye Mingham, Associate Planner, who is heading up our outreach efforts. So you'll likely be hearing from or seeing all of us throughout the summer during outreach. To provide some background on why we are doing this project. In 2024, City Council adopted the 2040 General Plan. This document includes policies that guide city decision-making around development and sets the stage for more detailed planning efforts. The 2040 General Plan goals, policies, and actions were developed around its vision and guiding principles. As a result, we have a visionary general plan with bold policies to implement it. The general plan provides broad guidelines or a blueprint for future development. These broad guidelines are implemented through more specific regulatory tools such as master plans and specific plans, with the most specific being city code, ordinances, and operations. State law requires the general plan and zoning code to be consistent. As a result, we are now in the middle of the 2040 general plan and zoning code consistency update. All right, but what exactly is zoning? Zoning is what divides all the land within the city into different areas or zones. These zones have specific rules for how the land can be used, what can be built, and how big buildings can be. Rules help make sure different land uses like homes, shops, and parks work well together as best as possible. General plan land use policies are implemented through more detailed zones. Zones define allowed uses as well as development standards. So this is a map of our zoning, which is available through the city's land information lookup application. So now we'll get right into schedule and scope. Staff have been hard at work in the analysis phase, and we're really excited to finally share the proposed updates through outreach and engagement this summer. The scope can be generally divided into 7 parts: simplify residential zoning, expand neighborhood commercial uses, update missing middle housing standards, focus growth near transit, update auto-oriented use standards, streamline the code, and rezone properties for consistency. So we'll be covering all these components in our webinar series. If you have specific questions or comments about like neighborhood commercial, missing middle housing, or rezoning, I would really invite all of you to join those respective webinars for a much more robust presentation and conversation. So today, in addition to project overview, I'll be touching on some of the more technical updates. And these technical updates include creating a safety overlay zone for the Rio Linda Airport to incorporate the Rio Linda Airport land use plan into city code, making updates to the code to require gas stations to provide EV charging. And also want to note on this point that this is a general plan policy that is already being instituted. We are just making sure that it's reflected in our code. And finally, we are making some streamlining amendments, which really just includes technical amendments to our special planning districts, removing expired or fully built out planned unit developments, and updating our employment center zone to remove residential density caps. All right, so now let's talk about how we're getting the word out. So we're reaching out to a bunch of different people. neighborhood associations, local organizations, working with their council offices, inviting business chambers out, talking with developers, attorneys, architects, PBIDs. And really the purpose is to share the proposed updates to the zoning code and collect feedback. Um, Outreach is going to run from now through August 31st, and there will be a variety of different ways to interact with us through our online platform or in person. Also encourage everyone to visit our project website, which is cityofsacramento.gov/zoning code update. For regular updates, we'll also be sending out e-blasts to remind folks of new updates. And also, if you just want to email us or call us, we have a project specific email address as well as phone line. So feel free to shoot us a message or leave us a voicemail. All right, so I want to talk a little bit more about the how, right? So we've got three ways to interact online. We've got our informational boards, our missing middle housing survey, and we also have an interactive rezoning map, which is currently under construction, but will be available late July. So that'll really help out with the rezone portion and collecting feedback on that part of the project. Other ways to get involved include attending our webinars, such as this one. You can also find us at a pop-up event. We'll be popping up all over the community this summer through August 31st. If you'd like, you can also invite us to your group's standing meeting. We're happy to provide a 10-minute presentation to your group to orient folks to what we're doing. And also encourage everybody to come out to the August 13th Planning and Design Commission and provide public comment and share with the commission how you're feeling about the updates that we're presenting. All right, so now I want to take some time to kind of walk through our project website, show you where everything is. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second so I can switch to my browser. All right. So I hope everyone can see my browser right now. We're on the 2040 General Plan Zoning Consistency webpage. Starts off with an About section, our scope, which we just covered. And the first section I want to bring your attention to is this part, provide feedback. This is going to take you to our project boards, our informational boards, which we are hosting on a platform called Conveo. So once you click on that, it'll take you to this web page, a little bit more information up top, but really the meat of it is in the stations down below. So we've got 1, 2, 2A, 3, 4, 5A, and 5B right here. Broken up into project overview, missing middle housing, our survey, station on neighborhood commercial, station on rezoning, and then other changes, other technical changes like the things that I talked about briefly during this presentation. So what I would recommend is just going station by station, providing feedback, and I can show you what that looks like. Say you're on station 3, all you have to do is click on this button, view station 3, right? And it'll take you to this board. So you can zoom in and out if you want to make things a little bigger, if the text is a little small, if you want to get a closer look at the pictures. And you'll also notice that there are these little comment bubbles all around, and you see that folks are already in here making comments, and you can read everybody's comments, which is really cool. So this one says, so this one's a question, right? You can ask questions. You can make suggestions. More suggestions here, right? And then you can also see that here you can either reply to any of the comments that you see. You can also upvote or downvote. So it's very interactive. City staff will also be in here answering some more of the basic questions. And some of it, like we really encourage folks to have a dialogue with each other. It's a great way to connect with others with similar interests, with similar ideas. And we'll be reading all of that. So that's how you can provide comment. Oh, and to provide a comment, like you can read the comments, but to provide a comment is just as easy. You'll see this little plus sign moving around. That's my cursor. And let's say I really love this retail store, this bookstore right here, and I wanted to leave a comment there. So all I have to do is click. This pop-up menu on the right shows up. It auto-populates with my name. Otherwise, you can fill it in. I'm going to add a comment. I'm not going to leave it because I don't want to distort our public comment. But I could write anything that I want, like love this bookstore, love this idea. I admit I'm a little bit biased. Um, right? You can also choose a comment type. Either you want to flag an issue for attention, maintain, like, yes, let's maintain this idea, let's remove this idea, let's suggest something. Or maybe you just have a question that you want someone to answer. So you can label the type of comment. And then all you have to do is post comment, and then everyone can see it, commented, interact with it. So it's that easy. So you can go through all of the boards like that. All through August 31st. All right, I'm going to go back to our main project page, right? So this is cityofsacramento.gov/zoning code update. We were just here looking at our Conveo page, our informational boards. Now I want to take you to our missing middle survey. It's about 11 questions, 6 minutes. All you have to do is press this button. It'll take you to our landing page, which provides a little bit more background, what missing middle is and what the standards will do. And we have this in 6 languages. I'm going to click on the English language. All right. So from here, again, some introductory information about what missing middle is. And from here, I can walk through all the questions to show you that it's not scary at all. We ask some basic demographic information. We want to know where you live, like so what community you represent. Lots of different options here. If it's not listed here, please feel free to specify at the bottom. Curious, your age range. And next, we're collecting information about what kind of home you live in, like how big of a building you live in. Also, what kind of home is next to you? Like, what building do you live in? Also, what is in your neighborhood? Because we want to know, based on that information, what kind of home you would be comfortable with next door to you. Like, are you comfortable with a single-story home, 2-story home, 3-story home, that sort of thing. So those are the kinds of questions we're asking. And if you feel like there's something about housing that we're not getting to, please feel free to put it at the bottom, right? Like, this is an open-ended comment box. You can write any additional questions you have, any other comments that you might have about housing in Sacramento. We're happy to take your input. Once you're done, all you have to do is click done, and then you will have provided your feedback, and we will be very grateful. All right. From here, I am going to stop sharing again and toggle back to my presentation. All right. So once again, I want to remind folks that the webinar is a wonderful way to do a deep dive with us on neighborhood commercial, missing middle housing standards, and rezoning. Highly encourage you to register for these webinars on our project website. And if you can't make it, our slide decks and recordings will also be posted on the project page afterwards. And this is just showing you where you can find the registration link. This is all on our website. You'll see that there's going to be a listing for the date of the webinar, a short description, followed by a link here. And it's really easy to register. All you have to do is provide your name and contact information, and then you'll be registered. All right, so we'll also be out and about this summer. This is a picture of me and Jamie at an outreach event last fall. And so we'll be doing very similar things this summer. We currently have 3 pop-ups scheduled, and we'll be adding more to our calendars very soon. All the dates, times, locations will be posted on our project page when they become available. And finally, just a reminder that we do have an interactive rezone map coming online late July. This is to support the rezone portion of our project. There will be an interactive map that will help you see where we are proposing rezones and where there will also be a feature to allow commenting on our rezone proposals. All right, last but not least, we want to invite all of you to attend and provide public comment at the August 13th Planning and Design Commission. At this meeting, we will be presenting the proposed changes to the zoning code, exactly what we are presenting during public outreach this summer, including a summary of outreach to date. So all the feedback we have collected up through August 13th, we will be presenting to Planning and Design Commission. And after public outreach closes at the end of August, staff will turn their attention to writing the ordinance for the updates to the zoning code. And then finally, public hearings will begin soon after that in October. And hopefully we'll be presenting updates to City Council for adoption by December of this year. Once again, this is our project contact information if you'd like to reach out via email or phone call. That concludes my presentation. The team and I are here to answer any questions you might have. All right, and I believe if you would like to speak, you should be able to raise your hand. Faye, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
Awesome. All right, well, I think the project team and I can hang out for another 5-10 minutes if anyone has anything to ask or thinks of a question. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending. Oh, we have one hand.
Nancy?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Nancy.
Hi. My question is, what section might talk about bike lanes?
The zoning code update is not going to be talking about bike lanes. Would highly recommend checking out Streets for People active transportation plan that our colleagues in Public Works worked on. I believe it's adopted and being implemented at this moment. I don't know if someone can drop a link or provide a link to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. If no other questions, thank you so much for being here. You know how to reach us if you think of anything. Feel free to send us an email. Thank you, Faye, for dropping the link to the Streets for People plan. Yeah, in this recording, oh, thank you. Looks like Charlene has her hand up.
Charlene?
I'm unmuting. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It sounds like this has already been decided by the 2040 plan, and now you're just making changes to be in sync with what they've already decided. Is that true?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that the 2040 general plan has made some decisions. However, the 2040 general plan is quite broad, and there are still some like nuts and bolts to figure out. And that's where the zoning code update comes in. So we're deciding on very specific things like uses and standards that aren't necessarily decided in the 2040 general plan. So the details that we're trying to figure out in this update are to implement the vision of the general plan and the policies in the general plan.
So, another question I have is we have a missing middle project going in our neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and it's being built now, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't have zoning set up for it according to your documents.
So the missing middle housing project moving forward at this time will be subject to our interim ordinance standards. The standards that we are proposing now through this update won't take effect until about 60 days after adoption. So if we do adopt in December, then 60 days after that, that's when our new standards would take effect. Um, does that kind of answer your question,
Yes,
Charmaine?
so they're already implementing and doing what they chose to do, even though there could be some changes.
Yes, there are currently interim standards right now that they're following.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Charlene, yeah, maybe I could add to that. The interim ordinance was adopted about a year and a half ago, and so we're seeing some missing middle housing development types throughout the city. But it is an interim ordinance, so it wasn't meant to last forever. A permanent set of regulations need to be adopted, and those are the regulations that we want to have a community conversation about. So, for example, we're proposing to allow triplexes, three-story multi-unit apartments throughout the entire city in R1 through R3 zones by right. And so we want to have a community conversation about that and be able to provide feedback to commission and council when we go back for public hearing and adoption. So this is a wonderful opportunity to provide feedback on those standards being proposed.
Okay, thank you. I understand. In reading some of your documents, I have not yet found a place where it's been approving apartments. They say duplexes, fourplexes, quadplexes. They do not say anything about apartments.
So apartments would be in our higher intensity residential zones. So they will still be allowed. We're not getting rid of that by any means. And in fact, in some areas, we'll be intensifying our residential development standards. And we'll be talking about that in our missing middle housing webinar, where we'll also be talking about intensifying development standards around transit. So I would highly recommend that you check that one out if you're interested in those types of standards.
Definitely will, but my main question is why is it hidden basically from the public by not putting it in your document?
So
I think I
the
would I would just add that I think it is included in the survey. So some of the survey questions
Yeah,
ask
the survey
about your
doesn't count. You've already got your interim coming through and being used, and it's obviously going to include, which Amy just implied, that it will be apartments in some areas, but it is not in written form in your document so that the public can all be aware that that exists.
so I think missing middle housing and apartment complexes are two slightly different things that we try to treat differently in our zoning code. Missing middle housing will be addressed through our lower intensity zones, like R1 through R2A. And then whereas apartment buildings are addressed in zones like R3A and above.
Yeah,
That being
yes. Yeah, that's a good point. I think the smaller scale apartments, 3 stories up to 35 feet in height is something that's allowed. And I think that's additional information that we can clarify as we're doing outreach and in our outreach documents. So thanks for that feedback, Shirley. And I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's very important because we've already got one going on one end of the street and the other end of the street supposed to be an apartment. And there's no place in there that would indicate to a lay person who lives and has a home that an apartment, 3-story apartment, would be acceptable in a neighborhood of custom homes.
Gotcha. Yeah, we can make that clarification. Thanks for that feedback. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I'll be following along.
Wonderful.
Great. Thanks so much, Charlene. All right. Anyone else have any last questions? Had some good ones so far. All right, just as a reminder, this recording will be on our webpage as well as the slide deck. So if you want to share this with anybody, feel free to send them a link. Did I hear someone come off mute? Someone want
That
to?
was you. I saw hand raised, but it
Okay,
looks like
great.
it's not.
Francesca, did you want to ask a question?
Francesca?
I realize that I probably shouldn't in this space because I already sent you a list and I noticed I had headings and some of them are neighborhood commercial, missing middle housing, SB 79. So those are all going to be coming up in the upcoming webinars where you're going to be talking in more depth about that stuff.
That's correct, yes.
So hopefully my questions will help inform what you may tell us. But anyway, you were going to get back to me, so I will just wait to have you get back. They're technical, as you could tell by looking at them.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sending those over. But yeah, our team is taking a look at that and
Well,
we'll
what
be
happened is I went to the housing policy working group, right? And you sit there and any questions. So I asked one question and then I walk away. It's like, oh, and then I start going through the slides again and it's like, oh, so that's how that happened.
Yeah, it takes a while for to absorb all the details, but I really appreciate that you've been spending some time thinking about it.
Yeah, I've been following along on all this, as Remy knows, since this was an idea a long time ago. So, first the concept was put out. That's where I mentioned the fact, because when it was just put out, like you guys are putting out now as kind of the framework, and the city was putting out the framework several years before it wrote the interim ordinance. And so there were a lot of different public engagement things, online, in person, all sorts of. So I and a lot of other people have been following this for a long time.
And we really appreciate that, Francesca. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you too.
Nancy,
How many people are participating in this webinar, just out of curiosity?
from
Can
my end, I see 15 people online,
Okay, thank you.
including some city staff. Um, all right, going once, twice. All right, thanks again, everybody, for your time. You know where to find us if you think of anything. Have a wonderful holiday weekend and take good care. Thanks, everyone.